94.3 The Dude is very grateful to our men and women in uniform. We're proud to recognize local members of our military by turning the spotlight on them right now in our Soldier Salute.
Today on the Soldier Salute, we're speaking with United States Army recruiter Staff Sergeant Chris Carpio. Sergeant Carpio, tell us about you.
So I've been in the Army now for about 15 years. I hail from Pueblo, Colorado. But I joined the Army from there as a 19-kilo and armor crew member.
Right. And what does that mean as a tank armor crew member?
The big tanks, a lot of people see them, but there's a crew that has to man them. 4 men, 1 person sits in the hull, 3 people inside the turret, and 1 person has to load those big 60-pound rounds. 1 person drives it. You have a tank commander who sort of keeps everybody together, and then you have a gunner who has to shoot and engage targets. So right after that, I flew to Germany. That was my first duty assignment, and I spent 10 years in Germany doing a number of positions. And then I went to Iraq and Afghanistan, Iraq twice, Afghanistan once for a long duration of time. And then the Army came knocking and said I had to do recruiting duty. So here I am in beautiful Columbia, South Carolina. First time back in America since 2003. And I have to say, I love this city. I've been recruiting since October 2013. I'm just grinding it out on a daily work basis.
Sergeant Carpio, what got you fired up 15 years ago to join the Army?
Most people have the typical answer of 9/11 or something, but I just joined because my grandpa was in Vietnam. He always had all these crazy stories about hiking uphill both ways, skinning grizzly bears to go to school and stuff, and I wanted to have some of my own. So I ended up joining the Army, opposed to any other branch, just because my grandpa and my dad had served, and then my brother went to West Point, so I feel like I wanted to follow that same path, and I wanted to have that service to country just as they did.
How did it feel when you got to go home and say to your brother, your dad, your family, hey, guess what? I'm doing this.
Oh, it felt great. It felt like I had accomplished something bigger than myself. I never had done anything like that before. Hitting a home run in baseball or winning some type of track meet. At the time, that was like the largest thing that I could possibly accomplish. And doing this by signing up for the Army and committing myself to something other than myself and was absolutely enduring, right? Like I felt like I had accomplished something huge.
Sergeant Carpio, so what is your favorite thing? You've been in 15 years in this man's Army. What is your favorite thing about your last 15 years?
There's only one thing that could possibly do that, and that's the Army lifestyle. The Army lifestyle is getting up, going to work out with your buddies. You go eat breakfast. You have the camaraderie, so you're all still eating together, even though you work together. You go to work and you're not really working because we're shooting guns, blowing stuff up, driving around in vehicles, flying around in helicopters, rappelling out of them, going to do some rappelling training, ruck marching, and I'm getting paid to do it. Normally people pay to go skydiving. People pay to go shoot copious amounts of ammunition on the range. And I'm doing it for free and getting paid for it, hanging out with all my best friends. And that camaraderie is absolutely the thing that keeps me in the Army.
Sergeant Carpio, what would you say for advice if somebody's listening who's maybe on the fence about whether military service is for them or not? What would you want that individual to consider before they actually say, you know what, I'm going to do this and step up and raise that right hand?
I think the number one thing that someone should consider is whether or not they have the heart to do it. Because if their heart's not fully in it, then they're not going to do a good job. You could have somebody who shows up to work every day and they give a lackluster attempt of doing their job. But if you have somebody who wants to be there, they're going to outperform all of their peers. And I feel, again, when they're thinking about considering military service, they should look deep in themselves and say, do I have the heart to do it?
Now, Sarge, I know that you came by military service honestly, family, heritage, but you still went to basic training. What was going through your head when you pulled up on the bus and saw the DI shark attack?
I think that's a word that I can't say on radio, but I think I may have bit off a little bit more than I could chew. But basic training is only 9 weeks and 4 days long. And so in the end, every day that you go to sleep, no matter how terrible that day was, the next morning when you wake up, you're one step closer to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
So there's a graduation day printed, projected for us. And I knew that. So I didn't want to quit. And I just wanted to keep going through it because I wanted to accomplish this goal that I set out to achieve.
A lot of folks who hate it while it's going on, especially that first day, look back at basic training as some of the best days of their lives, or certainly the military career. Would you agree or disagree with that? Oh, absolutely. Just like anybody who, when they overcome some adversity, just like football teams during summer two-a-days, they bond during the suck. They're accomplishing goals together, and they're just getting closer together. And building that camaraderie is ultimately what leads to them loving it. So you've been in 15 years. You obviously wear a uniform every day. What do you think about your service, or the fact that every day when you walk out and you look at yourself in the mirror, you put your cover on, and you say, I get to do this job? What do you think about that service?
So the service aspect of it is probably the most fulfilling aspect of putting on the uniform. So I know our uniform is printed on our names, but more importantly, U.S. Army is printed and worn on the side of our heart. And so we're doing that for the U.S. Army. And, before me, the Army was a machine and it kept rolling. And after me, the Army's going to continue rolling. And so I think dedicating my life, for 20 years of my life before I retire, to the Army, to also achieve my goals and passions, it also aligned with me doing something higher than myself and giving back to my country. And so wearing the uniform is me doing just that, giving back and serving my country.
And Sergeant, I know you do a lot of work outside your paycheck in the community, volunteering, raising money for causes for cancer and other community things. But why is it important for people, no matter what their job is, to do things in and above that 9 to 5?
Well, I think it's super important just for the sheer fact that we need to be humble. Unfortunately, we live in a world where not everything is equal, and some people run into adversity. I think a good judge of character isn't by what you do with your time. It's about what you do with other people with your time. And so I'm not judging somebody based strictly on this, but I think it humbles us and it makes us better people to give back to the community and to do nice things for other people and not expecting anything in return.
Thanks for joining us in our Soldier Salute. This salute to our local soldiers on 94.3 The Dude is presented by Capital Chevrolet and Hyundai at I-20 and Clemson Road under the giant American flag, and All American Heating and Air. American and proud of it.